emphasize here, which is not getting that much attention, is that something has happened in the last few years that has changed the story on agriculture as well. This is not the next 50 years, it's right now. Through natural disasters, the heat waves in Russia had a big effect on the wheat production. The floods in Pakistan had an effect. And taken together, the impact of natural disasters, which scientists now relate to climate change, because average precipitation has not increased, but the high precipitation has jumped. So that is a factor also affecting agricultural production. And in real time, there are estimates in Brazil as well as elsewhere that agricultural productivity today is beginning to be affected by climate change as well. But a lot more to be said, but I attribute a bit more on the supply side, on as you call the real reasons for agricultural price increase. Third, on BRICS and the question of food, the case for individual action and coordinated action. At a very general level, I think we would agree that there are a lot of things countries would do in their own self-interest would be good for the world as well, and good for that country itself in a social point of view. And we can debate this, how much of opening up of trade or of opening up the small enterprises for activities, etc. Good for individuals, good for the country, good for the world, but there are some very serious issues as well relating to that. But certainly when it comes to those activities which have effects on others, first inside the country, but also to others, very high carbon emissions, producing high growth rates, the atmosphere is the same for everybody. So that is where individual actions need to be qualified. I gave 4 actions in the climate area that are good for the country and good for the global. Energy efficiency, reducing the subsidies, investing in forests that are good for the people as well, etc. But beyond that, there is a question of how much coordinated action will be needed, because everybody, especially the BRICS, will be hit hard by natural disasters, agricultural productivity loss, etc. because of climate change. So individual country actions may not be enough. Going back to the trade example, it's interesting. In the case of trade, even unless the World Trade Organization negotiations were stalling, many countries took actions on trade. You can say optimal reform, not total liberalization, but enough to get benefits that are good for the country, but they happen to be good for the world too. Does the same apply for climate? I think to some extent, but not the same way as trade, because climate is truly the biggest public good that we've ever seen, where the knowledge is so far ahead of action, and we don't have enough time to discuss this. And so while the 4 actions I mentioned are good for the country and good for, it's not, I don't think it's good for the country and good for the world, those I don't think will be enough to address the very, very serious divergence that is taking place between what is needed and what is being done. Is there a coordinating mechanism that will do it? In my paper, I say that G20 is a good effort in the sense that it brings in the BRICS more clearly into the picture, but to a large extent, it's also a talk shop. Decisions and follow-up. There are lots of committees and committees, but that's not really action. I think in the subsequent sections, Rogerio and others will be talking a great deal about international architecture. What does it take for the global community and the global leaders to focus on issues that affect individuals in a country because of the effects of actions from around the world?
Obrigado, Mr. Thomas. Dado o adiantado da hora, vamos terminar por aqui as atividades. A primeira atividade do dia, né? Agradecer novamente a presença de vocês aqui, reconhecer a presença do ministro Carlos Lins, do senhor da região de estudo, também representando o Banco Mundial. E agora vamos abrir, em seguida, os trabalhos da primeira mesa do dia, os BRICS e a reforma das instituições financeiras internacionais. Muito obrigado em nome do BRICS Policy Center.